Deixa eu ver só onde é que tá. Vai. Pode ir. Vou parar de gravar só.
Oi, gente, boa tarde. Bem-vindos de volta ao turno da tarde do Dispodia do Poliglotar. Eu vim passar aqui para dar um aviso rápido para as pessoas que vão fazer o passeio de amanhã. Tá? Então, tomem nota e não esqueçam que são informações importantes. A primeira é que o nosso horário, nosso ponto de encontro, vai ser aqui na frente do hotel às 8h40, porque 9 a gente vai sair com o ônibus. Então, o início de embarque, 8h40 de amanhã. Aqui na frente, não desçam, não entrem, na frente do hotel, tá? Na frente do hotel. Segundo ponto, como nós teremos as visitas ao Congresso Nacional na parte da manhã e ao Supremo Tribunal na parte da tarde, é proibida a entrada com bermuda, chinelo, regatas, roupas curtas. Ou seja, eu vou repetir, é proibida a entrada. Então, se alguém não separou calça comprida ou saia um pouco mais comprida, chinelos, exatamente. Havaianas está cada vez chinelo ainda, gente. Então, a gente não pode achar que pode usar, porque carioca todo mundo usa, brasileiro todo mundo usa, porque eles não vão deixar. E não achem que pode.
Desculpa nem pensar.
Não. É isso, tá, gente? Passa para frente, eu vou passar lá também.
All right, is everyone ready? Welcome back to the first lecture of the second half of our last day here at Poliglotar. And today, this afternoon, actually, we're going to touch on a theme which is, which I really like, which is pronunciations, which happens to be one of my specialties as well. And we're going to have a polyglot expert to talk about intonation, word stress, Fuction Word, and Function Word. Francinaldo will lead this lecture, right? He has a degree in English literature from the Federal University of Paraíba. He works as an interpreter as well. He speaks Brazilian Sign Language. And his love of languages began when his mother, Maria das Graças, gave him an opportunity to study English. So today is a polyglot, and he will be sharing some knowledge about the field of pronunciation, phonetics, focused on word stress, intonation, right? So you're on board.
That's it. Thank you. Hello, everyone. How's it going? So today I'm really happy because I'm going to talk about an interesting thing. I'm going to talk about function and content words. So I really love to study about phonetics and phonology because I think when we learn a language, we need to understand how the sounds of this language work. So, for example, by the end of this presentation, you are going to understand how the function and content words work. And as I said before, I'm over the moon because it's a topic that I really like to talk about. So let's get started. So this is me. I'm Francinaldo. I'm your speaker for today. And I really hope that you enjoy everything here. But first of all, I would like to ask you a question. Who loves to study about phonetics and phonology? You told me it? Yes? Why? You, for example.
I love to understand how it works the language. To listen, I really appreciate listening to different accents. So I think that phonetics and phonology has to do with accents. I really appreciate to listen, even that I don't know a language, for example, French. I don't speak French, but I love to listen people talking French. Just to the sound of the language makes me feel pleasing to listen to. I don't know how to explain, but I really appreciate linguistics in general, but specifically phonetics and phonology. That's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So as an English teacher, I see lots of people who say that, okay, English is really hard. English is impossible. But why? I understand that when we see a sentence which is not pronounced as it is written, it's hard. Because English is not a phonetic language. Portuguese is a phonetic language. English is not. That's why it's not a piece of cake sometimes. But if you want to understand how it works, and if you want to understand how the meanings, the forms, and their intonation, the rhythm, and everything which happens in the language, you can start studying about this. So let's get started. So what are function words? Function words are the words that will generally be stressed in a sentence. Therefore, this means that it will be lower in pitch, sometimes lower in volume, often very, very fast. Sometimes they will even reduce, which means a sound will change or will get dropped. So function words are words that we use to connect the words that we want to emphasize. We are going to talk about content words. Please. And what are content words? Content words are words that we pronounce in a higher pitch because we want people to understand what we're talking about. So, for example, we have as content words verbs, verbs, nouns, and adjectives. Also, we have an exception here, the verb to be and to have. We are going to see it here. So, and function words. We have auxiliary verbs and modal verbs. That's why we do not pronounce it in a higher pitch. So I have some sentences here, and I'm going to explain it in details for you to understand it, okay? As I said before, I think it's better to explain it in sentences because it makes us understand it in a better way, okay? So I went to my friend's house. Went is a content word because it's a verb. So I do not pronounce it like this. I went. No, because I is a functional word. That's why we need to pronounce it like this. I went. I went. I went to. Because it's a functional word. We have pronouns, articles, and auxiliary verbs, modal verbs, and conjunctions. So I is a pronoun. So we pronounce it in a lower pitch. So I went. I went because it's a preposition. It's a preposition. My friend's house. So I went to my friend's house. I went to my friend's house. So this presentation is not about having the best pronunciation ever. It's about meaning. Because when you do not pronounce a word and when you do not pronounce a sentence in a right intonation, we can have some troubles. As I said before, it's not about having a beautiful accent or having accent as a native speaker. It's not. It's about meaning. So I went to my friend's house. I went to my friend's house. And I know that there are so many interpreters here, and sometimes it's really hard to understand them when they do it, when native speakers do it, because we do not hear it. To my friend's house. Why we call this content words. because we pronounce, only pronounce went, friend's house, we can understand the sentence. Went, friend's house. But if I only pronounce I and to my, it doesn't make sense. But these words are functions. And they help us to understand and connect the sentence. But we do not pronounce them in a higher pitch. Another example is, my father is a home. My father is a home. Is a home. My father is a home. And there is another interesting thing here. When we pronounce a statement, we have to double at the end of the sentence. For example, my father is at home, is at home. If you make a question, if the question is yes or no question, we need to do it like this. For example, if I ask you, do you like apples? I need to pronounce the end of the sentence in a higher bit. For example, do you like apples? Apples, because it's a yes or no question. But if it's not, we doubt. For example, why do you like apples? Apples. Do you like apples? Yes, I do. Why do you like apples? Apples. Do you speak English? Yes, I do. Why do you speak English? So this is a nice thing, yeah? And when having statement, it happens as well. So my father is at home, home, home. And I sometimes, because it's a verb, I sometimes go to the beach, 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 we die. So my mother is my real inspiration. Her name is Maria das Graças. And it's totally true. So my mother is not here anymore. I'm going to talk about her later. And it's a nice thing. So we have functional words, pronouns, articles, auxiliary verbs, modal verbs, conjunctions, and content words. As content words, we have verbs, nouns, and adjectives, but verbs. So in a sentence, it's really interesting when you pronounce it in a sentence, and it's about practice. Practicing all the time. Yeah. Now we are going to watch a nice video about this. Why? You are from Brasília. Okay.
Lower in pitch, often very quick, sometimes lower in volume, and sometimes even reduced. Reduced means a sound in the word may be altered or dropped altogether. If you're not familiar with what stressed means, you might want to watch the intro to word stress video first. Intonation is the idea that we vary pitches throughout a sentence, throughout speech. We do not speak always on the same pitch. We vary our pitches a lot. This is part of what makes it easier to understand what's being said. Understanding the pitch patterns of American English, that's an important part to being understood. So how do you know which words should be stressed, higher pitch, and which should be unstressed, lower in pitch? Well, content words are the words that will generally be stressed, and function words will generally be unstressed. There are several categories and subcategories of function words. This video is just an overview. Later videos will cover more specifically categories with examples. Articles are function words, for example, and the.
In this sentence, do you have the time? Do you have the time? Do you see how the word the is low in pitch? Do you have the time? Auxiliary verbs are function words. Auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs, and in English grammar, they are paired with main verbs. There are several kinds. First, the kind of auxiliary verb that helps to make the passive voice. For example, in the sentence, the wall was painted yesterday. The wall was painted. It didn't paint anything. Passive. The wall was painted yesterday. In this sentence, the word was is the auxiliary verb. The wall was painted, was painted. Do you see how it's lower in pitch? The wall was painted yesterday. We also need an auxiliary verb to help make the ing or progressive form. For example, in the sentence, you are speaking too fast. The word are here is the auxiliary verb. You are speaking too fast. Do you see how it's lower in pitch than the word speaking? You are speaking too fast. These cases are often written as contractions. We're speaking too fast. Another kind of auxiliary verb is the one that helps to make the perfect tense. For example, in the sentence, she has given up. The word has is our helping verb here. She has given up. She is. Do you see how the word has is very low in pitch? It's actually been reduced and I dropped the H. She has given up. Modal verbs are also auxiliary or helping verbs. For example, might, could, and can. Take, for example, the sentence, I can go tomorrow. I can go tomorrow. Do you see how it's lower in pitch? It's unstressed. I can. It's actually even reduced. From can to can. I can go tomorrow. I can go tomorrow. Prepositions are also function words. For example, with, on, beside. And so are pronouns. For example, our, she. In the sentence, he came with his friends. The word with, a preposition, low in pitch, unstressed. He came with his friends. Also, the word his, a possessive pronoun. He came with his, just like with, very low in pitch, unstressed. He came with his friends. Conjunctions are also function words. For example, and, but, if. In the example sentence, I'll come if you want. I'll come if you want. You can see that if is one of the words that is not stressed. It is lower in pitch. I'll come if you want. To review, function words are the words that will generally be unstressed in a sentence. So this means they will be lower in pitch, sometimes lower in volume, often very, very fast. Sometimes they will even reduce, which means a sound will change or will get dropped. They are the opposite of content words, which will generally be stressed within a sentence. This contrast of stressed and unstressed is very important to American English.
Thank you.
Ah, não, é porque.
Please.
Mais um?
No, no. No, no.
Slide, né?
Yes. Okay. So, as you could see, please, as you could see, it's really interesting when you study about how the language works. And as people who love studying about language, we need to understand, for example, Sad, that you really love French, but you do not speak it. But if you want to learn a language, you need to understand how this language works. And it helps you a lot. For example, I have been studying for a long time and I really love my second language. English is my cup of tea. So When I stood about this and when I stood about words, I think that I'm learning another sound because it's another melody. Every language has its sound, and we need to understand it. As she said, we do not speak like this without feeling. No, we need to emphasize. We need to talk about what we want. We need to express ourselves. Yeah. So now I'm going to talk about the famous sound, the most famous sound in English, which is called schwa. This is the sound. So we have some words. In a strong way, we pronounce it, this article, like this. Sorry, this one. In a strong way, we pronounce it like this. And we open our mouth and we do it like and. But when we use the schwa sound, we pronounce it like this. And. Or it's really interesting. And that sound is really, really famous in English. We use it most of the time. So please, another one. In a strong way, two. And here we have a homophone. The number, the preposition. So they are homophones. They have the same pronunciation, but they are spelled differently. So, two, in a strong way, and me too. So, in a sentence like this, we pronounce it in a weak way, to the beach, okay? And to have another one, the word, yes. This is it. So now we're going to have a game, please. Okay, we have sentences, okay? And I want you to tell me where is the function word in the sentence and where is the content word in the sentence. So now I want you to help me.
L8.
So the word slave. Which number? 4. Okay, the second one. English is hard. English is hard. Okay. Books are useful. Okay. He saw her there. And Mrs. made it. It's not again. I don't see it. There is a lapse. Yeah. So you said the first one, 1, 2, 3, or 4. The first one, the first sentence. Vinicius said, What did you say?
First one was slate.
Number?
L8 also.
The first one? Number one?
The bus.
For me, L8.
The function words are bus and lake. So
Yes, and the number, let's connect the number. Number four,
Yeah,
okay. Number four. English is hard,
we don't have one for that one because it only has 3 words.
yeah, because,
It's English,
but you can repeat it. You can repeat the numbers.
it's English and hard are the words that have a high pitch. So it's the first one and the last one.
the two. Number two.
Number two
Yes.
and three,
English is hard.
books are useful. Which one? So again. It's over there. Which one? Four. We saw her there. Four. And Misha made it. Misha made it.
The one, the two, the first.
One. And it's not a game.
Word one. Not a game.
It's not a game.
I don't say it.
But I don't see it. Number four, yes. I don't see it.
And there is laughs. Which one? Four. Four. Okay, so let's see it. Please. So number one, the first sentence is four. So you got right. Are you all right? The bus is late, so number four. You got right. So English is hard. Three, English is hard. Two, books are useful. Books are useful. We saw her there. Misha made it. So number two. It's not a game. It's not a game. Game. And I don't see it. I don't see it, actually. Larissa laughs. Four, number four. So now, please. The time is almost over. So I dedicated and I dedicate this presentation to my mother. She's not here anymore, but I'm here because of her. So I really want to dedicate it to her. And I like to talk about it more and more about phonetics knowledge, but I have time. But I think that you got the point. Yeah, we got the point when you want to hear and we want to enjoy it. When you want to enjoy everything about phonetics and phonology. So thank you, you can repeat. That is my skill. And please, thank you very, very much. Questions? Yes.
Francinaldo, for me, it's the greatest honor to hear from you and to hear your brilliant
brilliant lecture. I'm very proud of you. And it seems that you are an accomplished English teacher. I figure out that function words and content words, there is something that I learned in the grammar when I began my English teaching in parallel to my primary school at the age from 9 to 12, I mean the primary school. But about intonation and the pitch, I recognize that my first input of English, I learned British RP like you. And I figure out that variations in pitch and stress, I didn't figure out what to do. I do it naturally. I learn it naturally. I never decoded which part of speech are, function words or content words, not until I became adult and became an amateur linguist, like most of us. But when I began to learn English as a child, I naturally changed the pitch in depending on if it's a question, like yes or no question, a descriptive question, or an explanation. So decoding is at the grammar level, like you do in the lecture. It's very important for every English professional who works in the English language. Thanks.
Thank you. And it's a nice comment because here in Brazil, there are so many teachers who teach English in a different way. They don't talk about phonetics and phonology. They do not talk about the intonation, rhythm. They just teach words and English. As I said before, English is not a phonetic language. That's why we need to learn it in a different way. And when it comes to sounds, we need to understand how they work. Yeah. And when I talk to native speakers, they say the same thing. When I'm talking to them and I start explaining it to them, and they say, okay, I do it naturally. I don't think that I'm doing it because we studied about this deeply. Yeah. My professor, he used to say that we are not usuários da língua. I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to talk to in another opportunity because it's a good word to say it here. But that is the point. When I talk to native speakers, they do it. Okay, Francinaldo, I just do it. And I don't think about this, about function and content words. I just speak them. So thank you very, very much for your comment.
All right, guys, any more questions?
We have time.
Yes, a lot of time.
Hello.
So I don't have a question, it's just a comment. Teaching adults, I think it's when phonetics really stands out, because when you have an adult learning English and they just have some kind of, difficulty with the language, for example, my mom, if I just try to teach her some word and I just say it in English, her brain is not ready to understand that, and she gets confused, and of course she gets really frustrated. So one thing that I found really useful when we're teaching adults is like showing, what the tongue position and how we open and close, and how in Portuguese we have, the nasal sound. So we cannot, if someone's name is Pam, you have to close your mouth, So teaching adults, I think phonetics is so important. And yes, it was a great lecture. And thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it's really nice. Yeah, there's a lesson over there. So yes, it's really interesting. I teach kids, and when I'm teaching kids, I use phonemes. Like if I want to teach the word sugar, I don't say, for example, sugar. Repeat it. Sugar. No, I can say sh. sugar, sugar, or for example, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. And there is another one, onion. I was teaching a kid, and I was teaching this word, and I was doing like this. Yeah, yeah, kids love it. But when it comes to this point of view, we can use videos like that, Rachel, because she explains everything about our muscles, where the tongue needs to be. For example, 9, and it helps them. So it's a nice team. So I teach these people as well, and yeah, sometimes it's not a piece of cake, but we can fix it. Yeah. Another person.
Hello, Francinaldo, and I want to say, first of all, congratulations on the choice for this presentation. It's super interesting, and on all the hard work you put in to make this beautiful presentation. Again, this is more of a comment than a question because it's so interesting. I think that we all want to share something. I was speaking with her about how similar, you imagine of Chinese, I think you explained there, because Chinese is a total language, right? It has tones, and the tones are so important, and they change the meaning of the sentence completely. The only difference is that it's more of a, there are more rules, and they have at least tones specifically for each. In English, they don't have accents or tones like this, right? They're not, you cannot see them as you can see them in Chinese, in pinyin, for example.
Yes.
I would agree with that, and there's just a comment that I find it interesting. And it has more resemblance than we might think of those languages, right? Maybe Chinese is not so hard after all because in English you also have accents, right?
So thank you very, very much. And there's another person over there. But speaking of which, I think it's really interesting when you think about it's not about having a perfect pronunciation, it's about meaning. You know, we need to understand each other, and sometimes when we do not pronounce it, when we do not use the intonation of the language, you can have the accent, but you can also have good intonation. Yeah, every language has its sound. It's like music. Yeah, for example, here there are so many interpreters, and when they study about this, it gets easier for them to understand the presentation. So,
It's not really a question, but it's more of a comment as well. I thought I recognized that teacher, Rachel's English. And I quickly did some research here, and I found an old video that I saw, and this brought back memories. And this video specifically, she says how not even native speakers, let's say, for example, Americans, not even they can understand a sentence if the content words are not used in a context. So if you take a speech specifically, and you just focus on that initial part, which is just function words, nobody can understand at all what's being said. And on this video, she shows that happening with her parents, her family, everyone. Nobody could understand what it said until the full sentence was said, and then they finally got it.
yes, it's not about having a perfect pronunciation, it's about meaning. Yeah, because if you do not, for example, if I say it like, imagine that the sentence is in the present. I go to the beach, or I go to my friend's house. Go, my friend's house, I can understand it. But if I only use the functions, I to the, but they are also important. We need them to connect the sentence. No, but I really love studying about phonetics and phonology. There is another person over there. Thank God I have time.
We don't have time, but
It's a nice topic, yeah.
yes, it's important.
So I apologize if I got the second half, more towards the end of your talk. Very interesting. So I apologize if you already went over this, but I'm a native English speaker. And it made me reflect that one reason this is important is because so there's the natural intonation of the sentence, right? But you can vary that,
Yes,
right? I don't have to talk about that.
yes, for example,
It changes the meaning completely.
Yes.
It changes the emphasis. So if you do that inadvertently, right? Instead of saying, I went to my friend's house, or the natural emphasis on friend, you say, I went to my friend's house. You're actually giving it a somewhat different meaning.
definitely. I was about to talk. I wanted to talk about this, but I didn't have time, but thank you very much. Okay, he's telling that, for example, we need to use this intonation because it's natural of this language. But sometimes, from time to time, we can go like this. I love chocolate. Really? Or really? Or if I ask you, what's your name? And you do understand it, you can say, no, I want to know your name. So your is a function word, but I'm emphasizing it. What is your name? It's not my name, it's your name. Because it's a language. Yeah, we can do it. What's the name?
Victor.
Victor, thank you. Because it's a language. Yeah, if I ask you, what's your name? And you don't understand it. And you say, your name, my, for example, no, your name. And your is a preposition. Sorry, your is here and in this group, but I can emphasize it. Your name, it's not mine, it's your. So, thank you.
Somebody just gave me a very interesting example. It's could be a bit vulgar. It's
Uh,
funny, right? So the sentence is, I helped my Uncle Jack off the horse. Now, if instead of saying I helped my Uncle Jack off the horse, if he said I helped my Uncle Jack off the horse, it's very different meaning.
So it's a language, yeah. So again, thank you very much, really.
All right, thanks and thank Mr. Francis, thank you so much for your presentation. And now I would like to call Victor here the stage so he can share a word about his natural fluency in Chile.
Just a very quick message, in case you don't know. So we have a stand, and many people didn't realize we have a 30% discount that's through today. If anybody's interested in signing up to Natural Fluency.
I have
So-
already signed up.
Oh, awesome, great. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks to your girlfriend, I have to say now.
Okay, so I guess this is it for now, and I guess I'll see you for the next lecture in about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes, we're gonna have two options, so you might check our program, which was shared in the WhatsApp group. So see you now.
A un video que fue pequeño, para